Alright gang, it is ingredient checklist time. So you're going to need 3 pounds of ground bison. You can always use ground beef if you can't find ground bison. I have all my fresh ingredients along with some fire roasted tomatoes, tomato sauce, and seasonings, but my full recipe will be down below in the description, so don't forget to check it out. I'm using Oklahoma Joe's Bronco drum smoker for today's cook, and I am putting it on grill mode, or as I like to refer it to as hot and fast mode. Today's cook is literally going to be a combination of hot and fast and low and slow. So I'm going to use a stronger wood today. I'm using hickory wood so I can ensure that this chili is going to get that real smoke flavor. Now all I have to do is add and ignite my fire starters, and it should take about 15 to 20 minutes to fully catch fire. And of course, to get the Bronco up to temperature, my desired starting temperature is going to be 350 degrees. Once my Bronco is up to temp, I am going to add my grate as well as my cast iron that I'm going to be cooking on today, because I need that cast iron preheated before I start cooking my chili. Bison is naturally lean, so you will need to add some fat. I'm going to use some beef tallow. About 2 tablespoons should suffice, and I can tell at this point that my cast iron is ready to go, so I am going to now add my ground bison. I honestly think that this is going to be a really good tailgating recipe. Not only is the aroma going to fill your area, but the Bronco is so transportable that you can literally load up and get to cooking. Just a thought, but back to the recipe. So now that our ground bison is all broken up, it's time to add the seasonings, and it smells so good. My full seasoning list will be down below in the description. Again guys, don't forget to check it out and save this recipe. Once you're done browning your meat, it's time to add your fresh produce along with your fire roasted tomatoes and tomato sauce. I like to get it all mixed in and then slowly add my beef broth. I add my beef broth slowly so I can make sure that the tomato sauce is nice and mixed in through the meat. And what's going to make this chili recipe not only different because we're using ground bison, but I'm actually waiting to add my garlic to the end. So I'm going to roast the garlic during this cooking process, and it's just going to elevate our chili versus other traditional chilies. At this point you can add a thickener like corn flour. I stray away from that because bringing it to a boil and then allowing it to simmer will evaporate the liquids, where you don't need to add a thickener. So now it's time to lower the temperature and let the chili do its thing. Even though you lowered the temperature, I still recommend checking in on your chili every 45 minutes to 1 hour and give it a good stir. This is how it looks about roughly 90 minutes in, and you can already tell how much more thicker it got. So as I said, trust the process and let those liquids evaporate slowly. It will enhance and elevate the flavor of your chili. And about roughly 1 hour later, my chili was exactly where I needed to be, nice and thick. So it's finally done and ready to eat, but if you allow it to rest for roughly 10 minutes, it will thicken even more in case you really like a nice hearty chili. Okay y'all, I don't know if y'all remember where I said I was gonna add roasted garlic at the end. That's the last step for me personally. It's completely optional, but I just think it gives the chili such a more rich and depth flavor. That's why I add it at the end, but make sure that you give it a nice good stir and mix it in, unless you like to bite into a big chunk of garlic. That's totally up to you, but just mix it in thoroughly. And that wraps up my rich and smoky bison chili recipe. That's gonna be bold in flavor and just the right amount of kick. You already know that this is gonna be a crowd favorite, especially for tailgate recipes. Grab a bowl, top it off with your favorite toppings, and dig in. Don't forget to save this recipe, guys. Till next time, enjoy.